Hello, and welcome to the Feeling Good podcast, where you can learn powerful techniques to change the way you feel. I am your host, Dr. Rhonda Borowski, and joining me here in the Murrieta studio is Dr. David Burns. Dr. Burns is a pioneer in the development of cognitive behavioral therapy and the creator of the new team therapy. He is the author of Feeling Good, which has sold over 5 million copies in the United States and has been translated into over 30 languages. His latest book, Feeling Great, contains powerful new techniques that make rapid recovery possible for many people struggling with depression and anxiety. Dr. Burns is currently an emeritus adjunct professor of clinical psychiatry at Stanford University School of Medicine.
So we kind of broke our silence prematurely, but welcome home, Rhonda. We have missed you. You've been overseas for a month, and it is so great to see you again.
Thank you, David. And thank you. It's so great to see you and be in your sphere. And it's really great to see you too, Matt. It's really a highlight to hang out with the two of you.
Great to have you back, Rhonda, and great to see you, David.
Great to see you, Matt. Absolutely.
We'll have a love fest.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, let's include our listeners. This is the Feeling Good podcast, episode
385.
And today is another Ask David episode. We have some pretty interesting questions. And I thought I'd start off by reading an endorsement regarding our episode 381, which was part one of 2 episodes on overcoming loneliness. It was personal work that, David, you did with Jill, with your patient Orly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a gem of a session. And I was so happy that a lot of people responded. And part 2 has just come out, and I'll be eager to see what kind of responses we get to that one also.
Cool. So this one wrote, at first I was a little bit anxious about what was going to be said or not said regarding the conflict in the Middle East in this podcast. But I was reassured when I heard that there is an understanding that it's not okay that innocent people are being killed, even in Gaza. Then more and more I thought Orly's voice was clear, sincere, and that even though she said that she wants to be liked by everybody and acts in that way, she showed great vulnerability, courage, and simplicity. And it seems just telling what was on her mind, which I really appreciated. At the end of this first part, Orly really moved me. Also, what the 3 of you were telling moved me. I was seeing Orly like a little girl who wants to be accepted, and it's saddening, and you only wanted to give her warmth, love, and affection. Thank you, David, for bringing back the feelings of love in your exchanges and your podcasts. I'm looking forward to hearing the second part of this podcast.
Thank you. And by the way, when I was jogging, well, I don't jog anymore because I'm so elderly and debilitated, but I've gone from slow walking to slogging again. So like I've moved into some very inferior position, but it seems like a huge promotion. But anyway, when I was out there, I was thinking about you, the woman who wrote that beautiful note, and just thinking how much I admire you, even though I don't know you, and the beautiful way you write, and the beautiful and balanced and thoughtful way you discuss really sensitive things. I think you rock, absolutely. And so thank you. Keep listening and keep sharing your ideas with us.
Nice. Okay, so shall we dive into our first question, you guys?
Yep.
Let's dive.
So this is from someone who you've given the pseudonym / and she asks about survival if you have no self or if you lose yourself.
And just to put it in just a little bit of context,
Okay.
A lot of times people talk about the great death of the self, or losing yourself, and people fight against it. People don't understand what it means. They fear it. So I thought this was a cool question, because here's someone who's saying, well, if I have no self, what if I lose myself? Yeah, awful things are going to happen. So let's see what Slash has to say, and we'll see what we can say about it.
Okay. Hi, David. Just a funny question that if I lose myself, then I have nothing to achieve. Then I will be like a monk. Then how will I earn money? Or if for someone money is not important, then what will he or she become? If I lose myself, I might not fit in because people these days are all the same. They talk the same and pardon my language, I'm just reading what she wrote, they talk the same shit, like they all have a self. But if I lose myself, how will I live in this modern society, which is so prone to us all having selves?
Well,
David?
well, I'm going to let you guys take the first shot at it, and then I'll see if I can add anything.
Yeah, I have a couple thoughts on that. So, the first thing that Slash is expressing is a concern that if I lose myself, then I have nothing to achieve. I think it's a little different from that. I think letting go of the need to have some special self it doesn't mean that there's nothing to achieve. It's just nothing that you have to achieve or must achieve in order to feel good. There's a letting go of some demand that we must be some better self. That doesn't mean that we can't be curious and interested and still achieve a great deal. It just means we'll be in a better state of mind when we do that. And I think what's being expressed is more like the resistance to accepting this flawed average self that we all have, that we want to be motivated. We want to achieve a lot. We want to be successful. We want to have power. And we're worried that if we're not at some level demanding more, that those things won't be available to us. And that's a common piece of resistance that people have, or a reason not to let go of these demands that we put on ourself.
Well, that's a great answer. I've been just completing a research study I did on acceptance, and I surveyed over 1,000 people. And we might have a couple of podcasts coming up on that. But a lot of times, people resist acceptance, self-acceptance, as well as the idea that, we don't have a self. And because people don't get it, you see, these things are like metaphors, like what Buddha taught or what other religious or philosophical teachers have taught, is trying to help us see something that we haven't seen, to see another way of looking at things. And then when we literally try to interpret that, people get all panicky, making these concrete interpretations. I've never said that we have no self. All I've said is the concept that we have a self, to my mind, is nonsensical. It doesn't mean anything. For example, let's say I'm going to have a Sunday hike. And I've started them up again. And do you think you'll be able to come to one of them? It's a
Absolutely.
long drive.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
I definitely will. Not this Sunday, though.
Yeah, okay. But when you come, are you going to bring yourself also?
I was planning on it. She follows me around. I can't let go of her.
Okay, but you see, it's a nonsensical question, and that's part of the idea. But the Buddha said that all real problems are specific. They occur at specific locations and at specific moments. And he also said that problems that aren't real can't be solved because they don't exist. And so, thinking about that, I wrote back to Slash. Maybe you can give us some kinds of specific examples that you're worried about. What time of day do you think you might be having trouble due to your proclaimed loss of yourself, or and what exactly might you be having trouble with? Who would you be with? What's going on? And this sounds kind of nonsensical, but like you say, how would you earn money? How would you get a job? Well, most of us go and apply for a job. I haven't seen any job applications that say, do you still have a self? So, you just, they ask you what your skills are and why you're interested in the company. And that's how you get a job. That's it. But it's kind of do you get it? And then here's how she responded. Hi, David. The moment was when I was with my friend and I said something to him like, you should work on yourself and try to talk with a proper tone. I'm telling you this as a friend. He was very angry. He was very arrogant and never accepted his shortcomings. He had relationship issues earlier. When I told him, this, he got irritated and said, "What have you done? What do you know about me? I'm going to earn too much money that people will be under me. I will make my own company." This event makes me angry internally, and I thought if I don't have a self, then I might not get angry. This makes me feel defeated, as I wanted to answer him something, and he can't find anything to reply, but I didn't. And this is a beautiful example, because a conflict with another person is something we can work on, and we'll talk about that your conflict right now what you might have said that triggered this defensive response on the part of the other person, that you criticize somebody who maybe wasn't asking to be criticized, and if he is a little bit narcissistic, he got real defensive. And then, we have wonderful tools to deal with that called the 5 secrets of effective communication, how you communicate with somebody you're in an argument with. And that's something you can learn and that you can work on. But when you mix it up with this thing about worrying about if you had a self, you're kind of obsessing in a meaningless zone, is the way I would put it. But Rhonda, you haven't commented yet, and I'd love to hear your take on it as well as yours, Matt.
From what you've taught me, David, the death of the special self is what's necessary when you're trying to overcome your depression, and that that push toward the special self leads us to depression. So rather than and that's true for the other 3 selves that you've taught us about, that so letting our self die is actually putting us on the road toward healing and mental health, rather than a loss of something.
Well, that's for sure. This is not a depression problem, but an anger and a relationship problem. There's certainly a death of the self there also, and let's see how it might.
That death of the angry, blaming self.
Yes, you see, and so she criticized him, and then when he got defensive, she got angry about that, and and the question I would have is, do you want help with this, or did you just want to proclaim that your friend got defensive and you got pissed off at your friend? I mean, we could model right now if how you might respond more effectively to this fellow. Would you like that, Yes, David. Please model it for me. Okay, we will. So let's see. The first thing. I mean, you're very confrontational, the way I used to be, and you told him you should work on yourself and try to talk to people with the proper tone. I'm telling you this as a friend, and the fact is he felt kind of hurt and put down. And as I've gotten older, I've learned to be more gentle and a little less confrontational with people, and it's made life a lot sweeter. But you say he's very arrogant and never accepts his shortcomings. You're blaming him instead of looking at your own role, and that would be the death of the self in this example, to change yourself rather than blaming him. It's almost as if you say cats shouldn't chase mice. Well, why shouldn't they? There's millions of years of evolution that have shaped their behavior, and there's millions of years that have shaped the behavior of human beings too. And human beings are nasty creatures. And when you start criticizing them when they're not asking for help, they get defensive. And if you'd like to see how to respond to that, We'll role play it now. I'll be the friend, and Matt, you or Rhonda can play Slash and model a 5 secrets response. What have you done? Like you think you know so much about me. I'm going to earn a lot of money, and then people will be under me. I'll make my own company. I don't even know what that means, but that's probably what he said. And
can we give the friend a name, like Bob?
Yeah, David. They call me David.
David, you're right. I don't really know you. Here I've been over here judging you and telling you who you should be and how you should talk. I feel like that was really inappropriate. And I'm just admiring you right now for sticking up for yourself. I can imagine you're really angry and hurt that I would, impose my judgment upon you. I'm really proud of you. Like, you're really hardworking and motivated. You're going to go out there and earn money and start a company. And I really believe in you, and admire you for your motivation, dedication to that. I wonder what it was like for you when I was criticizing you and how you felt.
Great. Now, what grade would you give yourself for that?
Probably a B. I don't know. I didn't say that. I wish I had said something more like I feel kind of embarrassed, or
so my feel statement. Yeah,
so my I feel statement wasn't in there.
Yeah. What'd you give it, Rhonda?
Well, I gave it an A- because I didn't hear an I feel statement, but also I wondered, are you really admiring them? Is that a sincere stroking?
I think it's sincere that I like that about them. That they're highly motivated. They want to be successful, and there is something about it that I think I also, maybe another I feel statement would be that I feel a little bit rejected, and like I'm not quite as valuable as a friend as their like earning money is to them, and that makes me feel a little bit insecure in the relationship.
Wow.
Right. Well, we could go back and forth and polish that up, but I thought it was pretty darn good, and it showed humility. And that's what we mean, Slash. That was an illustration of the death of the self, the arrogant, blaming self. And that may be something you don't want to do. Like, I don't want to make the same mistake and say, this is how you should interact with other people, Slash. But if you do want to learn more about it, you could read Feeling Good Together and do the exercises in there, like the disarming technique, learning to find truth in people who are critical of you. But that's what we mean. It's a metaphor. The 5 secrets of effective communication are like a metaphor of being humble when you're criticized rather than arrogant and defensive. Let's model it one more time, and then we'll go on to another great question. But your question, Slash, is really cool for 2 reasons. First, it's kind of intriguing to everybody philosophically, and I'm trying to bring the philosophical answer to life for you in a way that has meaning. But it's also great because this is the greatest problem of the human race: is people feel hurt and get defensive, and then we get defensive, and that's the way anger eventually leads to violence and war. So it's important from that point of view as well. But socket to give me a heavy criticism, Rhonda or Matt.
I'd be actually interested in playing Slash and hearing a response, just a disarming response from their friend. So when she says you should work on yourself and try to talk with a proper tone, I'm telling you that as a friend. What would be another way for her friend to respond?
Oh, yeah. Rhonda will brilliantly demonstrate that at this very moment.
Okay.
Hey, you should work on yourself and try to talk with a proper tone. I'm just telling you this as a friend.
Oh, you're so right. I really do need to work on myself. And you're telling me that not only do I need to work on myself, but I need to try to talk with a proper tone. And you're letting me know this because you're a friend of mine. Am I getting that right
Okay.
so
What
far?
grade did you give yourself?
Well, no, I'm not done.
Okay.
Yeah. um, I'm feeling a little like put on this. I don't know if this is a feeling. I feel a little put on the spot. Um, I feel kind of judged and criticized, and I feel a little awkward. And I'm wondering if you're feeling like helpful toward me and and motivated to try to help me be the best person I can be. And if that's your motivation, I feel really, happy and honored to be friends with you because I'm glad to receive the feedback so that I can become a better person. And then on um, on the other hand, I am kind of feeling hurt because the feedback came out of nowhere, and I don't know where it came from, and it is a little painful. And I still feel a little rejected. And I'm wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about what specifically I need to work on from your point of view, and what specifically is the matter with my tone that it's not proper. Because I'd really
What
love to
grade
know. Okay.
What grade do you give yourself?
B plus.
Okay. Matt?
Yeah, I think in the B range. The thing that was missing for me was an acknowledgement that I was feeling angry.
Yeah. Rhonda, what's one feeling that no therapist in the United States has ever acknowledged and will never be able to acknowledge?
Anger? Well, who's angry, Matt? You being / giving me that feedback? Are you angry?
Sure.
Yeah, I think I was feeling angry because I'm telling you, you should work on yourself to try to talk with a proper tone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm angrily demanding that you not have that tone.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed an acknowledgement that I was feeling angry and hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I like that you included your own I feel statements,
Mm-hmm.
but I needed a little bit more of acknowledgement of my anger.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's a mistake that a lot of us make, talking a lot about ourselves and overlooking the elephant in the room, which is the way the other person's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to try a role reversal?
Sure.
How are you feeling right now?
Me?
No, the other Rhonda.
I'm feeling curious, but I'm also feeling a little stupid. Like I didn't pick up that she was angry.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. I was probably kind of harsh in the way I expressed it too.
Oh no, Matt, you and David are both right. As you're describing it, she does sound angry, but in the moment when you said it to me, I didn't pick up on any anger.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a role reversal and I'll be / Is that what you?
We could, but I just like to point out, / that when we're working on the problem you presented, there's a lot of ways to look at it, a lot of things to be learned. But this is the death of the self is all about life. Mm-hmm. It's about relationships. It's about connecting to other people. And that's something that's hard for all of us to learn. The death of the self, the death of the pride, is about gaining access to heaven. It's not like a funeral. It's like a rebirth and learning how to get, in this case, the death of the proud defensive self, the blaming defensive self. That the death of that self is the secret of intimacy and love and getting close to people. Mm-hmm. And it's painful because you have to suddenly look at your own role instead of blaming the other person, which we all like to do because it makes us feel morally superior. So now you understand maybe something more about what the death of the self means. And the Buddha called it the great death because it leads to a new world that we've never seen before. It's like waking up, not like going to sleep. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that a lot, David.
I do too.
Thank you. Well, shall we push ahead for another question?
So Slash sent you another question. How do I say no? And if I say no to someone, I feel guilty about it. How do I get over that?
Well, I'll answer fast because mine is real short. And as you know, I never recommend any books other than my own. But one exception, I once had a patient who said she'd been helped by this book by Manuel J. Smith called When I Say No, I Feel Guilty. And so I went out and bought it, and I read it on the train going home from 30th Street train station in Philadelphia to the Bryn Mawr stop. And I skimmed it real fast. I only read about 3 paragraphs, but then I got the whole book from that. And it was such a neat thing. And I told then my wife to read it, and we had our son read it, and I had a lot of patients read it, and everyone's kind of liked it. It's a real simple book. And so if you have trouble saying no, you might want to pick up that. It was a bestseller, 30, 40, 50 years ago, and it's still a bestseller today. And now I'll turn it over to the smarter people here.
Well, we did an episode on no practice with a young psychiatrist, and that episode is 353. So I would encourage Slash to go back and re-listen to that.
Could we briefly demonstrate no practice right now? Just a quickie?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to give us some guidelines?
Yeah, well, just one person, the way you do it, you pair up, you have to have a friend to practice with. And one of you acts very demanding, making demands on the other person. And then the other person has to practice saying no in a firm but diplomatic way. And which role would you want, Rhonda?
I'll be the demanding person.
Okay, and which role would you like, Matt?
Well, I think I'll be the demandee, I guess.
Okay. All righty.
Matt, I have this really crazy client, and I'm having a hard time dealing with them, and I need to refer them to you.
Oh my gosh, that sounds really stressful, Rhonda. I'm sorry that you have a really crazy client, and I noticed that I'm feeling a little scared to take on a really crazy client. I'm worried that maybe they would be hostile or something like that. And I'm feeling a little bit hesitant and torn too, because I definitely want to relieve your stress and anxiety. And I'm also feeling a little bit hesitant to take on a new, very challenging client. I'd love to hear more about what's going on and what it's been like for you. And I'm really glad that you're bringing this up for us to talk about.
Oh, so you say you will take my patient?
Are you going to take her? Will you take her?
Okay, all right, I'll take your client.
So we haven't heard the no from you yet. No.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would say no. I would want to hear a little bit more and express my feelings first.
Okay.
Sure, sure. But let's say you're really flooded with patients.
Oh, okay, and it's definitely a no. Yeah. For me. Gosh, I feel really bad, Rhonda. I would love to relieve you of any stress or pressure to work with this client, who's been it sounds like very demanding and difficult to work with. But I just don't have the bandwidth right now. I'm so swamped, and I just can't help you with this problem. And I wonder if that's hurtful to you or upsetting, or if you feel kind of rejected. You're really important to me.
Yes, I thought you cared about me.
Yeah.
Well, only up to an extent.
Only up to a certain point.
I had another question for you, Matt. Rhonda and I, we haven't been able to do podcasts for a whole month because Rhonda's been gone. So we're going to have an additional session tomorrow, podcasting session at noon, and we'd like you to join us.
I would actually be thrilled. I can check my calendar and see, but I think you're just pulling my leg, David.
You remember we called this no practice?
But Matt, I have another question for you. I have to go to the airport, and it's really close to your house. Could you come to where I live and pick me up and take me to the airport that's near your house?
Oh, thank you, Rhonda. I feel very special that you'd ask me. And at the same time, I'm feeling kind of selfish and bad because I just am eager to lie in bed and do nothing tomorrow. So I would definitely do that, except that I don't feel like it.
Okay.
Well, how do you think you did on no practice?
Very, very average.
So somebody make a demand on me.
Hey, David, you have such a nice home, and my home's kind of shabby. Would you be willing to trade?
Would I be willing to trade?
Yeah. I just like your home more than mine.
So screw you, asshole.
But it would just mean so much to me,
Yeah, I know. That we have a beautiful home, and I can understand your jealousy and inadequacy.
That's good. That makes me feel better.
But in all joking aside, it just saying no in a loving and respectful way, and just practicing. You can make a joke of it, but you can do it in a serious way. Like and it's hard for me too, because you like people and you don't want to let them down. And my wife has to keep reminding me to you can say to people, thank you for the invitation. It sounds like it's going to be a fabulous event, but I've just got too much on my plate right now, and I'm going to have to say no. But I want you to know how honored and flattered I was that you'd think of inviting me. Something like that, and that's the essential thing, and to practice it to get good at it. But we have a lot of resistance to saying no, because we don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, and we want to make sure we get involved in everything that could possibly be exciting.
Well, so sometimes
time for one more here, Rhonda.
Could I say something?
I just have to pause for a restroom break.
Okay.
Well, feel free to say no.
No, we'd rather.
No, you can't go yet.
I'm going to say no to no. I'll be right back.
I was just saying that sometimes when I've worked with people who have a hard time saying no, you can, filling out a daily mood log about a specific moment where they struggled with saying no and the thoughts and feelings is a really great exercise.
I bet.
And then after you do that, a cost benefit analysis of what are the good reasons in this moment to say no, and what are the good reasons why you wouldn't want to say no. But also what you've taught too, David, is doing a triple paradox.
Oh yeah.
Where, all the advantages of always saying no,
always saying yes.
Always saying yes. Yep. Always saying yes. What are the disadvantages
of saying no in the middle column?
Right.
And what saying yes shows about you that's positive and awesome. So you get these three columns showing all of that's brilliant, Rhonda, all these good reasons to be agreeable all the time. And then say, well, maybe that's not something that you want to give up.
Yeah, definitely.
Problem solved.
Problem solved. So anyway, okay, let's go on to the next one.
All righty.
This is from Gabe, and he wants to ask you what acceptance is. And he writes, "Hi, David. I would love to fill out the acceptance survey, but I'm not sure I understand what it means to accept something about myself. I was in CBT for a decade and had little progress. During that time, my therapist explained to me that acceptance is important, but I never felt like I understood what it means. Take, for example, accepting that I cannot make someone else's decisions for them. If I accept that, does it simply mean I believe that that is true, that I cannot make someone else's decisions for them? Or is there something more? Or to put it shortly, is accepting the same thing as believing something is true or false? Thank you for your resources. I've listened to hundreds of episodes of your podcast, read many of your books, and recommend them to many people."
Yeah, well, thank you, Gabe, for that great great question. And we're going to have some classes coming up on the acceptance survey and what I learned. And there were some pretty fascinating and exciting discoveries. But to answer your question simply, I think that you said, what is acceptance? And that's a good place to start. I loved your question because people bullshit about these things, and then you never get any progress that way. But there are three types of acceptance. One is, accepting yourself as you are right now, with all your warts and faults. And then another form of acceptance is accepting other people, given the way they are. And we all know that other people can be pretty crappy as well. And we all know that we have a lot of faults and shortcomings that we don't want to accept. And then the third is accepting the world just exactly as it is right now. And heavens, we have a lot of reasons not to accept the world. There's all bombings and killings and, just horrible things going on and have been going on throughout history. And so those are three of the most common forms of acceptance. And in the survey, I had people list all the really good reasons not to accept themselves and others in the world. And the results were fascinating. Now, what is acceptance? Well, I believe in really simple answers to things. There's an acceptance and commitment movement. And Stephen Hayes is, headed it up, and he's really a sweet, wonderful person. But I can't understand a word that comes out of his mouth. And he uses a lot of big words, and he talks really fast. And I think people love that about him. He's kind of like a psychotherapy rock star. He stands on the stage and puts on kind of like a rap show type of thing. But it's hard for me to understand people. And in college, I used to tell myself, if I can't understand what you're saying, I'm afraid I came to the conclusion that you probably don't know what you're talking about. But my idea about acceptance is very humble and pretty darn simple. And it's this: we all have a lot of shortcomings and flaws. You probably don't have as many as I do, but I have tons of them. But I'm sure you've got a lot of flaws too. And acceptance is, to my way of thinking, is simply making the decision when you think about your shortcomings and flaws to talk to yourself, or in your thoughts to think about yourself in a gentle and loving way, the way you would talk to a dear friend who was hurting and who was feeling upset and who had screwed up. And that's about it. But it's not a simple process at all. But essentially, that's what I would say acceptance is. But I have two experts on this who are much smarter than I am, and they will now reveal more about what acceptance is.
Rhonda, would you like to go? Or I have some thoughts on it.
Well, I just think that acceptance is, just recognizing yourself or recognizing other people without attempting to change them
or
judge. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wonder, David, why do you include the world in your definition?
That's a form of acceptance. I mean, I'm just saying, if you're categorizing, those would be three different varieties of acceptance, just like different varieties of fruit or different types of plants or different types of trees.
Like we could get upset thinking I shouldn't be this way, or they shouldn't be this way, or the world shouldn't be this way.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have a story about that. I had procrastinated on getting a Christmas tree this year, and by the time I showed up, there was like one. I think I purchased the last tree in California, and I guess by default it was the worst. It was, very droopy and had a lot of bald patches, and it wasn't straight up and down. It was. I could tell they felt bad even kind of putting it on top of my vehicle for me to take it home. And without my asking, they gave me a big discount. They only charged me $30. But I just felt so grateful to have a tree. And I liked it so much. It was like my tree. And I got to have it, and I decorated it, and I just loved that tree. And I didn't want to take it down. I just had it taken down yesterday in February. But it was highly defective and flawed. But I just loved it. And when Gabe is asking a question, is it enough just to believe that it's true? I think that's one step in the right direction. I think it's also about feeling grateful for this flawed thing, or flawed self, flawed world that we live in. And I think that's included in acceptance. It's acceptance with a light heart, a joyful gratitude that we have anything at all. And
I love that.
Well, yeah, that's neat.
That's neat. Instead of judging what's not there, appreciating what is there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's a lot what I learned from my little Obi, that we haven't talked about him for ages, but he and all of our cats, really, they're just average cats. They're not special in any way. They're vulnerable. They have flaws. They get fearful. They've had things in their background that was, hard for them before they got into a loving home. But they give what they have to give. They give their heart and their love, and in learning to love our cats has just helped me with loving myself, that they're not impressing us in any way. They're just being vulnerable and loving creatures, and that's sufficient. And you can take that same attitude to yourself, accepting yourself, warts and all, flaws and all. I've always had a fear of, performance anxiety, a camera phobia, and it's been pretty intense until recently. But I'm making videos now, and this is something I want to talk to you about, Rhonda, and you might be interested in it too, Matt. Making videos of therapy sessions and then editing them in a short form to teach people things. And so I saw a draft of the first one, and I had to talk into the camera, and I wasn't a pro at all, but I thought, well, gosh, that guy's not half bad. He's smiling, his eyes are open, he's saying some interesting things, and I was able to be, fond of myself and appreciate myself, rather than being critical or looking at, comparing myself to some television sweep away studly kind of person. Acceptance is coming to the thing you're trying to accept with a sense of love. And cats, of course, are extraordinarily cruel and sadistic, aren't they?
Yeah.
Rhonda?
I don't know much about cats.
Oh, well, their favorite thing in the world is torturing mice.
Is that their favorite thing in the world?
Yes, uh-huh.
Then they are cruel.
Yeah.
But then they're also really valuable because it keeps your house free of mice.
Yeah, but we love them as they are.
Yeah.
And even though we might not like the fact that, they'll jump and try to capture a hummingbird or something like that, and that's kind of what acceptance is about. But anyway, in the survey, people have a lot of things about themselves that they don't accept, a lot of reasons not to accept themselves, and we'll tell you all about it and what it means, and you'll find out if acceptance is the big deal that the gurus claim it is. Does it really cause a rapid and powerful reduction in negative feelings and a burst in feelings of joy? And I now know with great precision the correct answer, and I will reveal it in a few weeks.
All right. That's motivating.
I like the cliffhanger.
Me too. Well, shall we stop for today and then finish some more for our next podcast?
Yes, let's do. But can I give one more evil teaser?
Please do.
I will also be able to answer the question, can money buy happiness? Because I have a precise answer to that also. But the teaser, well, I'll wait for the special podcast to reveal the answer.
How much money?
Well, I know exactly how much happiness you can buy with how much money.
Okay. All right. I'm eager to hear the podcast.
You know, I know other ways to find happiness as well. And it's all involved in I developed a tremendous mathematical model that links everything together with great simplicity and pretty fantastic answers.
All right. Well,
Can't wait.
Me too. Okay, then until our next podcast, which will also be an Ask David.
Okay, thank you. And again, we love you, Rhonda, and thank you for coming home to us.
Yay, thank you. I love you too.
Experience in Europe.
Awesome being with you both. Thank you.
Yeah, likewise.
This has been another episode of the Feeling Good podcast. For more information, visit Dr. Burns' website at feelinggood.com, where you will find the show notes under the podcast page. You will also find archives of previous episodes and many resources for therapists and non-therapists. We welcome your comments and questions. If you want to support the show, please share the podcast with people who might benefit from it. You could also go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. I am your host, Rhonda Borowski, the director of the Feeling Great Therapy Center. We hope you enjoyed this episode. I invite you to join us next time for another episode of the Feeling Good podcast.